All righty. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes before we kick things off. And just as attendees pop in, so we'll again just maybe a couple minutes, and then we'll begin this show. For those that are just popping in, there is a chat function as well as a Q&A. So first off, you have the ability to answer or ask questions throughout the evening, and the chat is also available to everybody. So feel free to pop your questions in the Q&A, and we'll get to it throughout the town hall. Or we've also got questions, or sorry, time set aside at the tail end of tonight's schedule for formal Q&A as well. Give it one last minute. So if you are looking for a beverage and don't want to miss out on a single minute of our formal AGM or town hall, then go for it now. Alrighty, we're 5 minutes past the hour, so just to be conscious of people's times, we're gonna get this show on the road. So first off, good evening and welcome to the 2025 Ontario Alliance of Climbers Annual General Meeting and Town Hall. My name is Dave Irwin. I'm the OAC's current Secretary of the Board and have been for a couple of years now. For those that aren't familiar, and I suspect many of you are, the OAC, or Ontario Alliance of Climbers, is a nonprofit that works to retain and expand access to outdoor climbing within the province of Ontario. We work with land managers, private landowners, conservation areas, Ontario parks, and many, many other stakeholders to fulfill that mission. I'm joined today by members of our board and our chair of the board, our chair being Mike Penny, followed with Jessica Best, Jeremy Fortier, Patrick Lamb, Tori Silvera, and Tyler Coffin to round out our board of directors. And for tonight, you'll also hear from many of our core volunteers that work quite tirelessly towards our mission. This evening will be effectively two halves, really. The first portion, which is our formal annual general meeting. And the AGM is really just around good governance. So for those, again, that haven't taken part previously, it's where we elect our board members, vote on important changes to our bylaws, and generally large changes to our organization as a whole. Following the formal AGM, we'll have our annual town hall, which is really more about sharing key projects, access updates, financials. So again, Matt Gleeson, our treasurer, will be sharing our annual financials and a debrief on the year. This year, again, really happy to have leaders from Ottawa, Sudbury, and Thunder Bay joining us to share updates from those regions around their growing and vibrant communities, and that's Aric Fishman, Laura Schmidt, and Kristal Dubois. And then, as I mentioned, following the town hall, we'll have our normal Q&A. So at the bottom of your bottom of your screen, you should see both a chat and a Q&A function. Again, throw your questions in the Q&A. I imagine some of our eager board of directors members will be responding to questions throughout, but certainly we've got 5 or 10 minutes at the tail end of the evening just to focus on those questions. So with that, I'll pass it on to our chair of the board, Mike Penny, to kick off the formal AGM. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Dave. All right, good evening, everybody. I am going to take you through the formal portion of the AGM. It shouldn't take longer than 10 minutes, but I am going to read off the script, so bear with me. And I also have come down with a little bit of a cold, so you're going to have to bear with my voice, and I will do my best to not cough into the microphone. So as Dave has mentioned, my name is Mike Penny. I am a director and the chair of the Ontario Alliance of Climbers. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome everyone to our 14th annual general meeting of members of the OAC. We have a short formal agenda this evening, followed by a town hall presentation and a Q&A that will focus on some of the OAC's current priorities, as well as other exciting initiatives that some fine folks here today will share with you from around our province. I will now call the AGM to order. I will act as chair, and Dave Irwin will act as secretary of the meeting. I will also appoint Patrick Lamb to act as scrutineer for the meeting. The notice calling this meeting was sent to each director and member on record of the OAC by email on October 16th, 2025. There are present in person or by proxy at this meeting more than 5 members. Accordingly, quorum is present and the meeting is duly constituted for business. To expedite the formal part of this meeting, I ask that members hold any comments on general matters until the town hall portion of tonight's agenda has completed. However, if there's any comments specific to the motions prior to the vote, members should feel free to make them at the appropriate time. I have the meeting minutes of last year's annual meeting, and these can be reviewed at any time. They should be available to you. Unless there is an objection, I will skip the reading of last year's meeting minutes. All right. The first item of business is the presentation of the OAC's 2024 audited financial statements. We will provide a link to the financial statements in the chat of this meeting. The OAC treasurer will also provide a brief financial update during the town hall presentation that will take place shortly. Unless there is an objection, I will skip the reading of the auditor's report. However, in summary, the auditors have stated, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the organization as at December 31st, 2024, and its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. I think that's all formal language to say that we are in a decent position. The OAC volunteer, Tori Silvera, will now chair this part of the second portion of the AGM where we elect directors. I hand it over to you, Tori.
Thank you, Mike. Hey, everybody. So we'll begin with the election of the board directors. 3 directors are to be elected at the meeting today. I will make all the nominations that the board is aware of. I'd like to nominate Mike Penny, Jessica Best, and Jeremy Fortier to serve as directors of the OAC. The bios of Mike, Jessica, and Jeremy were included in the AGM notice that was sent out to members on October 16th. The 3 directors elected will hold office for 2 years or until their successors are elected or appointed in accordance with the bylaws and the Corporations Act. All of these nominees are qualified to be directors under the OAC bylaws and have consented to act as directors. Are there any further nominations? I'll give you guys just a minute just in case. Okay. If there are no further nominations, I'll declare the nominations closed. Can I have a motion that these 3 nominees be elected as directors of the OAC? I can't see
I'll make the motion.
Perfect. Thanks, Patrick. Can I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Thanks, Matt. Okay. So the bylaws provide for voting by show of hands, but since we're meeting by teleconference, I'll ask for objections or abstentions instead. Any objections? Okay. I'll declare the motion carried. So the bylaws and the Corporations Act require that any chair be elected by the members by special resolution. The board has proposed that Mike Penny be re-elected as sole chair of the board. This motion must be passed by special resolution. That is a resolution passed by at least 2/3 of the votes cast at this meeting. Can I have a motion for the special resolution of Mike as sole chair of the board, please? I can't see you, so someone will have to speak out loud. Sorry.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Jeremy. Can I get a seconder?
I can second.
Excellent. Thanks, Dustin. Okay, so I'll now call for a vote on the motion. The bylaws provide for voting by show of hands, but again, since we're meeting by teleconference, I'll ask for objections or abstentions instead. Are there any objections or abstentions? Objections, I guess. Okay, I'll declare the motion carried. Mike Penny will now resume the role of chair for the remainder of the AGM. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Tori. All right. The next item of business is to appoint the appointment of Peters Brown LLP as the OAC's auditor. Peters Brown LLP is the OAC's current auditor. Can we have a motion to appoint Peters Brown LLP as auditor for 2025?
I can motion.
Thank you. May I have the motion seconded, please?
Yep, sure I can.
Okay. I will now call for a vote for the motion. Since we are meeting by teleconference, I will ask for objections or abstentions. Okay. I declare the motion has carried. Is there any other business to be brought before this meeting? All right. So that concludes the formal portion of the AGM. Thank you, everyone who has attended. May I have a motion that this meeting can be terminated? At least the formal portion.
I can motion.
Thank you, Dustin. Can I have a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. We may now move on to the next portion of our meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks all. So now we're on to the town hall portion. So again, project updates, access issues, financials, lots and lots of good stuff, good information within this next section. So today, again, we're going to start off with our OAC Service Award, an annual award we present to members of our community that have gone above and beyond the call of duty in terms of their involvement in Ontario climbing and particularly OAC's work. Followed by Matt Gleeson providing a financial update, Jessica touching base on our membership counts and comms, and the number of different volunteers sharing major projects, followed by regional updates from across Ontario. So with that, I will hand it over to Mike. And because I've realized this next slide is immediately going to give away who the service award is, without any further ado, Matt Gleeson.
All right. Well, congratulations, Matt. I think it is my job to say at least a couple words of support and all the support you've provided us over the years as treasurer on the OAC. Matt, I think you've been with us for about 3 years now. You are easily the longest standing treasurer at the OAC, and you have been instrumental in guiding us through our journey as we have moved over the last 3 years to launch a different membership model and begin funding projects that move the needle for the climbing community. So I want to, on behalf of the board, send out a sincere thank you to you and all of the great work that you have done over the course of your time with us. And we could not be more thankful.
Thanks, Mike. And thanks everyone else on the board. Really very nice surprise that I did accidentally spoil for myself just before the meeting looking at the slides. But thank you again. This is a really great group and it's really nice to be a part of it.
I should have hit that one from you, Matt.
Funny, at that moment, I was on a different slide and I wasn't looking at your screen, but it was just after that I saw it.
I gave it away. I gave it away.
Well, we appreciate you very much, and we hope that you continue to hang out with us and help us along the way. I think we're just at the beginning of our journey.
Awesome. All right, over to Mr. Gleeson. Lo and behold, the next slide. Over to you, Matt.
Okay, so restating that my name is Matt Gleeson. I'm the treasurer for the OAC. and this is the most exciting part of the town hall, where instead of climbing, we talk about graphs and financial analysis. So, quick housekeeping to start off. Our financial reporting period for this AGM is calendar year 2024. One thing that we do have in the books is to update our fiscal year to more closely align with our AGM. I think originally, long before I joined, the AGM was earlier in the year, and it kind of made more sense to report calendar year. We're hoping to update that to have a little bit more current information at these meetings going forward. So there are a few current projects that are not going to be included in the scope of these numbers. The Bolt Fund and the 2025 Beaver Valley Climbing Festival. Keep in mind, if we're talking about the Beaver Valley Climbing Festival as part of these numbers, it is 2024, last year. So moving on to the data, we, for 2024, have seen a significant increase to both revenue and expenses. This is largely due to, first of all, the Beaver Valley Climbing Festival running our first year. It's a significant increase to both expense and revenue just for that event alone. We also saw the start of our annual membership program, which did see a major increase to our non-project income. You'll see, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but bullet 5, this year we had a total gain of approximately $1,700 for 2024. The previous year we saw a loss of approximately $2,500. So 2023 we did have a loss of a corporate sponsorship that was a bit of a big hit. And all of you members with your contributions for 2024 and for the current year have more than made up for that. So that and the Beaver Valley Climbing Festival, we've significantly changed our income and expense for the year. We have, if you'll see in the third graph, the porta potty costs, significant increase in 2024. That's because we've opened new toilets at Old Baldy. Also right next to that, significant increase to promotional materials. That is from t-shirt printing. A lot of those were for the Beaver Valley Climbing Festival and some just for outside. So that is a significant one-time cost that we get to keep that stock for probably at least another year that it's going to take to sell that. So we can recoup some of that cost over future years. General expenses, our office expenses decreased this year. That was largely due to switching our mailing list from MailChimp to Button Down. We have an increase to Action Network. That's just because that subscription was started part of the year, way through the year in 2023. 2024, that's the full year. On the annual membership program, we currently have around 300 annual members. And that's it for me. I will say that in addition to the auditor's report that Pat has shared in the chat, there is also a summary that I've typed up just with a little bit more information that I've provided here, some more interesting and colorful graphs for anyone that's interested in that sort of thing. We'll be sharing a link to that via email after the call, but if anyone would like to see that urgently and doesn't want to wait, feel free to just let me know in chat. I can drop a link there as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Pat. Appreciate the update and all the hard work. Alrighty. Next up is Jess, memberships and communications.
So Matt did briefly touch on this. We do have more annual members year over year. We are seeing increased engagement through both Instagram and Facebook. And this has been a very integral part of communicating things for our action with Ontario Parks. So we do have problems keeping a social media, or sorry, a newsletter editor on hand. If anybody wants to step up to this task, please let us know. Otherwise, we're just going to handle it ourselves. But it is an open problem that we have. But even without being able to send regular newsletters, we are seeing a lot of engagement through social media, which is great. And the ERO engagement, this is the Doubles Glen, which I'm going to assume that everyone here did go and leave a comment about the proposal to add climbing as an official activity at Doubles Glen. But based off of all of our Instagram clicks, Facebook clicks, and then contacting people through newsletters and through prior people who supported the I Support Climbing in Parks campaign that we had online, we had about 700 click-throughs to go leave comments on that. So while we're still waiting for, like, someone else is going to talk about the Doubles Glen information later, but I think that we have done a good job with engaging the community, and we're just seeing growth year over year. So that's great. Next slide.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. All right, so shifting gears into some of our major projects. So again, similarly, we're going to run through a couple of kind of key items. Of course, if you're interested in other key projects that we don't touch on, knowing we only have so much time, as usual, drop it in the chat or the Q&A, and we can touch on it throughout the night. First off, I believe this is Dustin talking to Climb in Parks.
Sure, thanks, Dave. So as Jess just alluded, an update here. So the last time we gave kind of a formal update, not including social media, we had information from the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks that they were in the process of finalizing plans to work to engage the public, including the climbing community, on a possible amendment, and that they were going to provide a time in order to provide feedback. That happened. So recently in 2025, there is now a proposed amendment to the Doubles Glen Provincial Park Management Plan that went through in the Environmental Registry of Ontario. That included environmental protections as well as recreational opportunity for recreational climbing. The comment period was between August 1st and September 19th. As Jess mentioned, we engaged the community and got a great response from the community to leave comments in support of climbing in the management plans at Doubles Glen. The latest information we have from the ministry is that they are currently reviewing the comments, which they will report out once they've completed the review. And so our job right now is to continue to keep an open and collaborative relationship with them, hoping that that amendment does in fact get passed, and we will continue to work with them to do so. On to the Beaver Valley Climbing Fest.
Thanks, Dustin. I think Tori, you're up on this one.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Okay, we had an awesome festival here, and I'll just run you guys through some of the key details. So we did have an unexpected last-minute venue change because we had some permit issues with the original location. So we had some amazing volunteers that kind of brought that all together and made that happen. And I think it went off really, really well. However, the new venue did cost us almost twice as much as last year. We chose to go ahead with that just to sort of maintain some momentum and keep that community building going, and knew that we might run a deficit. So we did run a deficit of about $900 this year. And the new venue limited our guest numbers to about 100 people. But I'd say it was really successful overall. So positive feedback through the festival survey, about 77% said that the fest provided great value for money. Our biggest point of critical feedback was that at the new venue, it wasn't as communal as it felt at that original venue. And our top point of positive feedback was the raffle. So that was awesome. Yeah, overall, I think we built on the 2024 festival, and we have some really good ideas for future festivals. And I think that there's tons of potential to make this a really great way for us to fund the OAC and other projects as well. Plus, we really enjoy the festival. So for next steps, yeah, we'll consolidate those learnings from 24 and from this past year. And hopefully in future years, we can increase attendance and increase fundraising for the OAC. We'll explore returning perhaps to the 2024 location and sorting out those permit issues, or look at alternative locations so that we can add more guests, because the 2025 location is limiting in that way. So hopefully we'll grow the festival to about 200 attendees, I think, and expand our marketing efforts in advance to accommodate that. And in 2026, we'll be looking for more volunteers. So if you're in the call and you're interested, please hit us up. Or if you know other people who might be, we definitely will need some more volunteers. So yeah, overall, I think it was a really awesome festival this year, and people seemed stoked about it, and I'm stoked for next year too. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Tori. Really appreciate it. I appreciate all the hard work that you and the team put in. All right, next up is, I believe, Jess. Oh, no, apologies. I forgot. We have some very flashy, nice photos. I don't know, Tori, if you want to touch on this, but I had to include the photo of you and Jeremy in front of the tent with all of the fancy gear that you guys were giving away. So nice. I don't know if you want to run through it, but yeah, this is the main festival grounds, right?
Yeah, this was the festival grounds for the 2025 year. And I mean, the raffle was a hit. We gave away like over $6,000 worth of climbing gear and clothing. So it was like pretty awesome. Yeah, we were really.
I was just going to say as well, like every year we are always so appreciative and impressed by the number of sponsors that we have for this event. So La Sportiva was our headline sponsor this year, as they were in 2024. And again, clearly a big part of the success of this is the fantastic raffle prizes that many of those sponsors provide. So again, big thanks to La Sportiva and everybody else, every other company that came forwards to contribute to making that event possible. Awesome. All right, this time over to Jess.
So every year we host the Rattlesnake Spring Fling, which has morphed over the past 2 years to be a cleanup at both Rattlesnake Point and Mount Nemo on the same day. So volunteers show up in the morning, help us pick up trash, and then are rewarded with a volunteer lunch and then free climbing in the parks afterwards. We had over 30 volunteers. A lot of people were repeat volunteers, which is great. Not sure how many people on the call were actually present this year, but we did get a sizable amount of trash. In that photo is just the trash that we found at Rattlesnake, not including the trash that was at Nemo. Again, as it's not been a problem to have trash at the base of the crags. Most of the trash that we are picking up is found more along the pathways for the hikers or at Rattlesnake Spring Fling closer to the campgrounds, which is a good sign. It means that climbers aren't the primary problem for here. And in fact, we're just helping them out. Conservation Halton loves having us. They have told us that their relationship with us is kind of the standard that they hold for all other user groups, which is really great to know. And we like to keep that relationship really nice and strong. So in the future, we will be holding a Rattlesnake Spring Fling every year. We may branch out into additional activities with them, but at the moment, this is good. This was happening. But yeah, we're just really happy to have people coming out and helping us give back to the community. And really great to have that relationship with Conservation Halton flourish. Do you want to remind everybody who's on the call here, and we will be putting out just reminders about how to strengthen our ties with Conservation Halton, and that is to respect the fact that they have formally recognized climbing as a permitted activity at their parks, and in order to maintain that permissibility of climbing in the parks, we do need to abide by the rules and regulations there. So they do have their own trail building and vegetation teams. If you see problems at the bases of the cliffs or on the hikes where there is, say, fallen trees, let us know and we'll contact them. They would much rather deal with clearing that themselves than have climbers do that on their own. If you have problems with the hardware that's on the wall, if you have questions about replacing some of the hardware, please reach out to us and we will work with Conservation Halton to make sure that that gets addressed.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. It's also interesting to see just from many of the familiar faces across both the Spring Fling and the Beaver Valley Climbing Festival. It's kind of cool to see how events cross-pollinate, right? It's both events to contribute to the community feel of how the OAC and Ontario climbers giving back to our communities through either the festival or for the Spring Fling. So again, familiar faces all through these photos. All right, over to Richard English, which is a newer volunteer for the OAC. Welcome, Richard. I won't steal your thunder, but Richard's been doing a whole lot of work on the Bolt Fund this year and wanted to make sure that he was able to speak to him and the team's work this year. So over to you, Richard.
Thanks, Dave. I'm one of several volunteers that have been working on the Bolt Fund. For those of you who don't know, the OAC launched a Bolt Fund back in June. The purpose of the fund was to reimburse developers who go out and replace some of the old and aging hardware we have in Ontario. So the fund closed October 31st. And for this last few months, we have $5,428 of funds are going to be sent out to developers. We have about 7 developers who have been reimbursed. And about 71 routes, and those routes span from places like Nemo, Rattlesnake, Thunder Bay, Calabogie, Swamp, and Metcalf. The work ranges from things like upgrading anchors. You'll notice some of the routes at Rattlesnake have new top anchors, to replacing entire routes, some old expansion bolts that were starting to fade. The fund did close October 31st, but it will be back for 2026. If you have any concerns about some of the guidelines or the work that's being done, you can always reach out to us. Our email is on the OAC website. And that's it. Thanks, Dave.
Should actually add 2 more things. Apologies, Richard, if I can jump in over the top. The team has also put together just a report a bolt function on the OAC website. So
yes,
generally speaking, especially for those that are not doing the work themselves, that's a great way to inform the OAC through a standard kind of website portal. It allows us to also feed out that information to developers that are working in those areas to make sure that our climbing routes across the province are really as safe as they can be, right? So I guess the other last thing I'll just mention, again, with the annual membership plan having launched last year, this was certainly one of those projects that we viewed as, foundational to how we use those funds. It's really it's a fund that is for all Ontario climbers. It's the umbrella fund that, has reimbursed developers for work across the province. And so, again, it's really exciting to see this fund being used and these funds being distributed. It's probably the one case, certainly in my life, where paying a bill is good news in this front, because that means lots of great work is being done. So, thanks so much, Richard, and thanks again for the team there. Alrighty, let's keep chugging along. So now we're switching gears in our town hall towards regional updates. So again, we've got Southwest Ontario, we've got kind of Eastern Ontario, and then we've got a very nebulous Northern Ontario, because we realize Ontario is a massive province. So it's easy for us to kind of chunk up updates into those different areas. And again, we'll pull in different volunteers that cover those various regions. So first up, I think we've got Ali, if he's here, speaking to the Niagara Glen.
Hello, I am here, yes.
Hey, how's it going?
Great, thanks. Yeah, so the Glen has been quite great this year. It's definitely better than previous years in terms of how collaborative the climbers have been. I know that they had like some issues in the past couple of years with the climbers not being the best stewards, but I've heard like way less complaints this year from the park rangers. So in terms of what's going on, the partnership with the Niagara Parks Commission is like still decent with us, and we're still on good terms with them, and the access to bouldering is still open, and nothing has been trying to stop it in the past little bit. So we're on a good term right now. People are paying for their permits, and they're abiding by the no top out rules, and mostly staying on the paths that are created. They keep changing the paths and the colors for the trails, and it's kind of confusing, and I think in the guidebook it's a little bit outdated, so that's something that we need to change. In terms of what's going on in the Glen, recently they had to block a certain area in Central. It's like the first area that you go to because on a set of metal stairs, there's this one boulder that's leaning on it, and it's been shifting over the past few years, and it's gotten to the point where the stairs are starting to collapse. So they close that area, they remove the stairs, and I think they are gonna blow up that boulder and excavate that area and clean it up so that it's open for it's a pretty like it's a pretty important trail to go towards one of the areas. So going from Central down to Old Country, that's like the only path and only direct path, and now it's closed, so climbers have to go kind of around. So that's kind of like the biggest thing that's happened this year. They just did it a couple of weeks ago. In terms of like things that are going on outside, I've been doing some more workshops at different gyms for etiquette and ethics and rules for the Glen. I did it at a few gyms around the GTA, and I did one at the Glen itself. So I hosted a workshop for outdoor rock climbing at the Glen, and it was with the park commission. And it was quite a successful event. It was super fun. I think 8 people came in, and we had a beautiful day outside. And I think I would like to do more, and we are going to do more next year. I wanted to do another one this year, but I don't think the timing didn't work out as well. Yeah, more cleanups hopefully next year and more workshops to go. We talked about signage to be posted around the Glen to reinforce some of the guidelines for bouldering. And I emailed them about it, and I'm just waiting to hear back. I also emailed them to ask how many permits were sold this year, which I'm still waiting on them. I think they have like a weird weekend. They take Mondays and Tuesdays and something off. So I'm just waiting to hear back. But once I know, I'll update and let you guys know. So that's kind of like what's been going on with the Glen. Nothing really too crazy at the moment, which is, I think it's good. No news is good news. The guidebook did come out, the updated version, although some of the points in the book are still not correct. I think it was supposed to be just a reprint, but Jesse updated it for some reason, and some things are just like a little bit all over the place. So I don't know if there's going to be another edition anytime soon. It was very difficult trying to get this sorted. Yeah, so I don't know. Well, a new edition hopefully comes out in the next few years. I think it's time for a new edition, a more condensed book, and a little bit better layout. But that's going to be a lot of work.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ellie. Really appreciate the update and for all your work. I think sometimes, again, a lot of the work that you do in the Glen is unseen from often the much larger Ontario climbing community. So appreciate all the partnership with the Escarpment Commission.
Thanks.
Alrighty, let's keep going. So Pat, over to the turtle.
Great, turtle. So again, this turtle is this crag that exists on private land, and climbing there is by kind permission of the landowner. We have a permit system so that ideally no more than 12 people show up at a time. There is a known bug in the system, so sometimes there are more than 12 people registered. We're working on it, and we'll have something in place for next year. So I did some stats, and I found that we had 1,500 day permits that were issued last year with 800 unique climbers. People were like, hey, reservations at midnight is hard for some people. So we opened it at 8, and now we have like a lot of people. We'll talk about that. What has been really good is that, first of all, the landowner is happy with climbers continuing to climb there, and people are enforcing permits like self-police is like, hey, do you have your permit? And so we really do need everyone to have a permit there. And it is also the case that this year, sometimes more than 12 people have a permit, and we'll be working on that for next year. So again, turtle's great. If you want to keep climbing there, then you gotta follow the rules, and they're completely reasonable. And let's keep it open for the next few years. Thanks.
And Pat, where can people find that permit? On
OAC
the OAC website, on our lovely website. So there's a climbers permit section where folks can go in and register. And I think, some of the work that Tyler, one of our volunteers, has done. I think it used to be midnight where the permit system would open, which, if you have work the next day, might not be so nice to stay up until 12:01 to sign up for your permit. So I think that change was certainly appreciated by me, especially with a young kid these days. It's not like I'm staying up till 12:01 very often. Okay.
I will say one other thing,
Sure.
which is that there's the Crag status pages, which have gotten an update. And so if you go to the Crag status, OAC Crag status page, and you go to Turtle, then you can find the sign up there.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat. Alrighty, on to Eastern Ontario. I think we've got Jeremy Fortier up next to speak on Eagle's Nest, or Bancroft, as it's often called as well.
Hi, everyone. If you've not been to Eagle's Nest, it's a large cliff that runs right through the center of Bancroft. As shown on the photo, the cliff is sort of behind a plaza, and the cliff faces are on private property that is divided amongst multiple lots. So in the photo there, and climbing has occurred there for a long time, but in the last 2 or 3 years, some of the properties started, there's no climbing or no trespassing signs started cropping up. So OAC's been sort of working on solutions to try to regain access to those areas. A couple of the options we were looking at in the last couple of years was like potentially purchasing the land, which is quite complicated because you'd have to sever the cliff face from the plaza portion of each of the lots. It'd be very complicated and costly. And then potentially leasing the land, which would be easier. And we just have to work with individual landowners on that. So that was an option that we started pursuing more seriously last year in partnership with the Alpine Club of Canada. So in March of this year, we sent letters to the individual landowners proposing to lease the cliff, whereby we would pay them annually for like a lease amount. We would also, as part of that amount, we would cover third-party liability insurance, which I'm guessing is probably one of the reasons some of those no trespassing signs came up. And then we would also contribute a portion of property taxes and maintenance. So like, for example, there is ice climbing at Eagle's Nest, so we would help contribute towards plowing of the parking lots. So unfortunately, we didn't receive any responses from the landowners to our letters. So the next step is really to explore alternative options to contact the landowners. These will probably be like calling them or going in person. So it's just something we kind of lost a bit of momentum on this over the summer, but hope to, get back in touch with them or get in touch with them maybe this winter. If anybody on the call or joining us today climbs at Eagle's Nest and is interested in helping out here, please send us an email. I can contact you and we can discuss further. Sometimes with a lot of our initiatives, sometimes they don't happen as quickly as we'd like them to, just because we're all volunteers and we work on, we all have day jobs. So if anybody is interested in helping out, please send us an email.
Awesome. Thanks for the overview, Jeremy. All right, I think next up, we're over to a little trip to Ottawa. I'm based in Toronto, so a little trip over to Ottawa. Over to you, Kristal.
Okay. So Ottawa's been busy this year, I guess, for community initiatives. Our big one is always our Bogey Boulder Bash, which happened September 27th this year. The Bogey Boulder Bash is a climbing comp / crag cleanup. And this year we also had lead and speed comps as well. It was a lot of fun, and it acts as a fundraiser as well for our area route development and trail maintenance. With some of the funds that we raised at the Boulder Bash this year, we built a new bridge on the way out to the boulders, which is kind of cool. And some of that funding will go towards route development as well. Our other kind of major community event right in Ottawa was a local legends pub night, where we had local climbers just tell climbing stories. We had about 60 people come out. It was a lot of fun. It was a good community building event where, you got to see people you didn't see very often. And again, we did some fundraising for new development in the area. So that was really good. I don't know if I can change. Oh, there we go. Okay. For access, there's really no new access issues in the Ottawa general area. For Ottawa, on the Ontario side, most of our climbing happens in Greater Madawaska or North Frontenac. So west of the city of Ottawa and north of the city of Kingston. So both the city of Kingston and city of Ottawa kind of share those climbing areas. Most of our local crags that the climbing is done on Crown land, with the exception of our one lake cliff, which is owned by, the land is owned by Calabogie Peaks. There's been no issues. They have an agreement where people are allowed to climb there at their own risk. There's a voluntary raptor closure, seems to be working fairly well. And parking is now $5 a day, and there don't seem to be any major issues with that. There are still closures south of there, closer to the Kingston area. Some of these crags are on private land or in the national park, and they've been closed for quite a while, and there don't seem to be any changes for that. One of the major issues with having your climbing on Crown land, it's great in terms of access. The downside is that hunting season also happens, and hunting season kind of coincides with good climbing season as well. This week is deer hunting season in both Greater Madawaska and North Frontenac. So it's something we need to make sure climbers are aware of. We just heard today that there was an altercation at one of the cliffs between some hunters and some climbers, and police were called. So it's really something climbers need to be aware of. They need to be making sure they're wearing orange and being seen, and trying to maintain good relationships with other user groups as well. Can you switch slides? There we go. Okay. And most exciting for us around the Ottawa area, I've got two maps there. In the small one, you can see kind of all the climbing is concentrated west of Ottawa and north of Kingston. And it's all kind of spread out over about 20 kilometers or more west of the small town of Calabogie. In the last year or so, we've had over 60 new sport and trad routes go up between about 5.3 and 5.13, and over 20 new boulder problems from V0 to V8. And some of our harder projects have finally got opened up this year, which is kind of cool. In particular, we've had 10 new moderate routes at Wobbin Lake, and I'll show some photos of those later. 13 new routes at Skywalk, 15 new ones at Lake Cliff. Some new hard projects were sent at our main cliff this year. Our latest bouldering area had a bunch of new boulder problems, and we opened up a brand new crag called Quinn Creek, which has some really interesting rock at it. And I think the next slides are just a chance to show off what these crags look like, to encourage you all to come visit. Wobbin Lake is this great summer crag. It's got a paddle approach and sport and trad routes between 5.5 and 5.12. Sorry about that. Lake Cliff and Skywalk have also become super popular. They're fairly short approaches. There's about 120 routes from 5.3 to 5.13, and there's some really long moderate lines that have become incredibly popular. The brand new slab sector opened last spring, and that has seen a ton of traffic too, and is getting rave reviews. And then our Battery Lake was first developed in 2024, and it's now a great spot for new climbers. There's a handful of easy routes and some bouldering. It's a beautiful setting right beside a lake, and there's Crown Line camping right there as well. So it's a great spot on a sunny day. And then we have Sullivan Lake. Sullivan Lake is home to some enormous boulders, and they've got some impressive cracks in them as well. So the cracks are kind of too tall to boulder, in my opinion, but they go great on gear. It's got a beautiful camping spot right there with a canoe. So you can hike in, take the canoe to the boulders, or just hike to the boulders. There's a couple of sport routes there as well, and a new mini guide was published to the area this spring. So that's seen a fair bit of traffic, and it's a beautiful spot to check out. And then Cave of Wonders, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's definitely home to the hardest routes in the region, and it continues to impress everyone who goes there. It's a beautiful spot. And I think, yeah, okay. And lastly is our newest crag, which is Quinn Creek. It's about 30 minutes west of Calabogie. It's on Crown land. There's now 27 routes there. 21 of them are sport, 6 trad lines, between 5'8" and 5'12". And as you can see, some really, really interesting rock. And we expect a handful of other sections to kind of open up along that section of cliff line as well. In the next few years. It's got a lot of potential. So we're pretty excited about that. There's been a lot of development in general in the region, which has been pretty fun. And then the bouldering. Yeah, so the Hollow is kind of the newest bouldering spot, and it's definitely becoming increasingly popular. There's about 70 problems there that are established from V0 to V8 with some hard open projects. Beautiful boulders within a 30-second hike from the parking area. They're glacial erratics, so the vast majority of them have really nice flat landings. And really fairly good quality rock, which is pretty cool. And we're actually expecting to release a new bouldering guidebook for all of the Calabogie bouldering late next spring. So that's coming up too. And then if you want to find out more information and come visit some of these cool regions, we've got a new portal for information on local climbing spots, climbcalabogie.ca, which we absolutely ripped off from the climbsudbury.ca people because their website is so good. But thanks for your hard work because it definitely inspired us. So that acts as kind of a portal where you can find more information on any of these climbing spots. And then Ottawa's major group that's been kind of doing community building events and runs Boulder Bash, Local Legends, etc. You can find us. We're Ottawa Craig Care. You can find us on Facebook or on Instagram, and we'll keep you informed of local events. And then there's some Facebook groups too that discuss local outdoor climbing in the region west of Ottawa. Yeah, if you have any questions, be sure to reach out on any of those platforms. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the update, Kristal. Really appreciate it. Again, always really exciting to see all the work going out east there. Again, I think when I saw the first photo as well of I think it's Ripple Crag, it's pretty wild. So definitely wanted to check out. Awesome. Over to Sudbury next up. So I think we've got Laura from Sudbury who's going to do a quick rundown of the latest updates from that area. Laura, are you there? Give Laura a couple of seconds here. Otherwise, Aric, I might start with you and then we'll come back to Laura. All right, Aric, are you there?
I'm here.
All righty, let's go to Thunder Bay first.
Skip ahead.
Skip ahead. There you go.
Well, Thunder Bay is an amazing area on the north shore of Lake Superior. And I'm going to talk to you all about it, at least the updates that have been happening over the last year. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Aric Fishman. I'm the owner of a guiding company up here in Thunder Bay called Outdoor Skills and Thrills. And I wrote the guidebook for the region. The most recent one is the Thunder Bay Climbing Guidebook. Got the second edition out now. And I'm also the director of the Nipigon Ice Fest, which is actually Canada's longest running ice climbing festival. And this year is the 40th anniversary of that festival, which is really sweet, kind of like a cool milestone.
So for these 40 years too, right, Aric?
Yeah, I've been running it since I was born. It's exactly as old as me. Yeah. No, actually, Sean Parent was the one who first started that. He's in the panelists. Awesome. Not panelists, sorry. He's one of the people in the chat there I could see. But yeah, I kept it going. It was probably about somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago. Decided to help keep it running, and I've been running it ever since, along with some other volunteers. So it's awesome to keep that going. Yeah, so Thunder Bay is blessed with so much rock, and the vast majority of the cliffs that have established climbing are on Crown land, which is really nice. Either that or it's on lands where climbing is permitted. And there's a number of areas that are on private property or on First Nations land. And so there's not a ton of updates to give in terms of like access issues, but I'll go through some of the updates right now. So one nice thing that happened this year, after years of kind of poking and prodding, the Dorian Tower Road has been finally repaired. It was, over the last several years, in crazy rough shape. I guide there pretty frequently, and I always have to like rent a like super high pickup truck nowadays to get in there, and even that was pretty sketchy. But now I can get back in there with just like a regular vehicle. I drive a minivan and have no problem getting in. So that was done this year, the repairs to that road. And most likely it'll get washed out again and go into disrepair, pretty quick. But at least for now it's repaired. So that's really sweet because it's kind of like an iconic place for people to climb. A lot of people travel to Thunder Bay to climb the Dorian Tower. So it's really awesome that it's now repaired. Another cool thing is that there's going to be a new bouldering gym opening up in Thunder Bay. So that'll be just an awesome way for people to train and build up the community and all that kind of stuff. The previous gym, like a rope facility with boulders, had closed down last year because of some issues that arose. But a couple buddies decided that they're going to open up a bouldering gym, so that's super awesome, and that should be open. It looks like they're opening before the end of this year, so sometime in the next couple of months it should be open and running. Another super sweet thing is I've said in previous years during this meeting that Pass Lake, which is the only sandstone cliff in Ontario with climbing on it. So it's a unique crag. It's really, really fun, super awesome. And a climber had purchased it. So it's owned by a climber. But all of the bolts up until recently, they've been just like expansion bolts, sleeve anchors mostly. And the sandstone is relatively soft. So when the guy who purchased it, his name is Jody, when he purchased it, one of the things he really wanted was that all of the bolts and anchors get updated. So we've been working hard to do that. So yeah, a bunch of routes are getting updated and retro bolted, and a lot of the anchors are getting like quick clips at the top, nice steel carabiners, so people can just get lowered off instead of having to rappel each time, which is good for added safety. But there's still a lot of rappel anchors, which is kind of good because I think that's a critical skill to know. So I do love teaching people, and people do get to teach their friends how to rappel as well. But one nice thing is that a lot of the routes are getting retro bolted with glue-ins and with quick clips at the top. So that's super sweet. A couple things that haven't really seen any changes over the last year. The climbing cliffs on First Nations lands, they're still closed. There's still no trespassing signage. And as climbers in the community, we're respecting that. So there's a few crags in particular, Crescent Lake, Mount Godfrey, and Brule Bay, which have a lot of climbing on them, but we're not kind of going there anymore to respect the wishes of the First Nations there. Again, fortunately, we have a ton of cliffs to play on, so it's not really an issue to be respectful. There's another cliff that also really hasn't seen much changes, which would be nice to make some progress on, but it's called Grey Wolf. It's a really beautiful cliff close to town. It's open for climbing, but there's somebody who lives at the end of the road where we would park, and he's just not stoked about people parking at the end of the road. So, and it's kind of like difficult to get around that without just being like, we're going to do it anyways. So we're trying to figure out how to work together with him still, but there's still no changes in that respect. And then Sleeping Giant and We Met Canyon, two amazing cliff lines. They are on their provincial parks with no climbing permitted. So that's still unchanged. I'm kind of hopeful that at some point in the future that could be changed. But again, it's not really that big of a deal right now to be respectful of the rules because we do have so many cliffs to play on. But that is something in the future, maybe with depending on how this Devil's Glen thing goes with the parks and all that. I'm trying to keep my eye open on how things are going with that to see if there could be any progress in Northwest Ontario as well. If you want any more info in general, you can get the guidebook that I wrote, Thunder Bay Climbing, the second edition I would recommend to get. It's quite comprehensive. And anything since the book, that book I released like a couple years ago. So there's a ton of new route development that happens every year here, but I keep all of the new routes updated on my website. So you can go to outdoorskillsandthrills.com. And if you go in the main menu under Explore More, you can see new routes and updates. And so you can use that in conjunction with the book to find all of the routes in the region that you can climb on. You can also find me on Instagram at outdoor_skills and send me a message anytime you want. Reach out. You could reach out on Facebook. Find me by my name, either type in Outdoor Skills and Thrills, or you could also go to Thunder Bay Climbers Facebook page. Next slide. Next slide. Sweet. You could just go back one, and then I'll just give a little. That's Pass Lake, just to show you. It's a beautiful sandstone cliff. Yeah, you got to go check it out. Lots of people love it. It's 10 seconds from the road, which is actually really nice. Okay, next slide. On the left here, you'll see the view from one of the sweetest crags in the region called the Outbreak Wall. And then me slamming in an anchor on the right there.
Quick glamour shot of yourself.
Yeah.
This is a great photo, by the way. Every time I see this, it's like, wow.
Just chilling on a chair, putting in some bolts. So yeah, just I didn't want to go too much into all the new routes going up because, you know, I don't want to talk about all the new routes, but I just kind of wanted to give a little brief overview of what's been going on. So in terms of new route development, the Outbreak Wall has seen a bunch of new routing. Single pitch and multi-pitch routes have been going up. A lot of anchor upgrades as well. So adding on quick clips like the steel lower off beaners at the top of the most popular routes that are single pitch and, you know, shorten up like around 30 meters or just a bit less that, you know, people aren't lowering themselves off of the end of the rope. So we're kind of being strategic about which routes to put lower off anchors on. Orient Bay has seen every year it sees a bunch of development, either with trail development or route development. Even this year, there's been a new wall that's kind of being worked on. It's called the Cabin View Wall. You'll see more about that in the future. Pass Lake, new routes have been going up, and same with the retro bolting and anchor upgrades. Silver Harbor has seen new routes. They're all single pitch routes there. And one thing about the bluffs I added at the end there, not sure who, but somebody's kind of taken some anchors off the walls. It's a bit of a mystery at this point. I'm trying to figure out who it could be. But yeah, a couple of anchors have gone missing, which is very unusual for around here. So hopefully that gets solved pronto. You can go to the next slide.
Cool. Give me just one more minute here.
Yeah. Just a nice shot of Orient Bay, a spot that you have to check out. Absolutely phenomenal rock. Nice single pitch and multi-pitch, mostly multi-pitch climbing. Stellar rock. All the rock that we have here, mostly, aside from Pass Lake, is diabase, which is very similar to basalt, but it's absolutely phenomenally gorgeous. And next slide. Along with the rock climbing, there's been a lot of ice climbing development. With the warming temps in general, the winters haven't been as cold, so we've gotten a lot of new flows that happen with all the freeze thaw going on throughout the winter, which isn't typical. Usually it's like -40 for 10 months out of the year. No, but it usually gets like solidly frozen, and then not much gets frozen. But with all the freeze thaw, lots has been flowing the past couple of years. So this is a shot of my buddy Adam climbing on a new route that we put up called Frosthammer. It's crazy thin, but it's cool. And the next slide. And because of the freeze thaw, there's a lot of new mixed route potential going on. This is me climbing a route that I put up last year called Angels and Demons. First pitch is all dry tooling. Second pitch is mixed. So yeah, that's been cool. There's a lot of winter climbing to have fun with here as well. And then last slide, next slide. This is just how you can get in touch with me if you want. Take a little screenshot or take a picture if you want. That's all my contact info. Feel free to get in touch if you have any questions about anything in the region. And that's my
awesome. Thanks much, Aric. Always really inspiring.
Yep. Thanks, man.
Alrighty, Laura. Hopefully your audio is now sorted.
Yes.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah, sorry, technical difficulties earlier.
No, that's okay. Back to Laura. So we've got a couple minutes left, and then we'll switch it off to Q&A. So Laura, over to you for the last couple of slides here.
Okay, so my name's Laura Schmidt. I've been involved with Climb Sudbury since 2017. That was when we started the website. I was the co-founder of that website, and I've been involved with it for almost 10 years now. I'm currently the sole manager of the online guidebook as well as the social media, and just wanted to give a couple updates from the Sudbury region today. So our biggest development for 2025 is a new crag called Area 69, and this is a series of crown land, crags, and boulder fields off of Highway 69 northbound. So as you're coming into Sudbury, it's just a quick pull off the road and about 15 minutes approach to get to most of the climbing. There's new sport and trad area with some steep routes. So it's pretty short, but it's overhanging terrain featuring routes from around the 510 to 512 range, and there's still potential for more. So NOAA was the main discoverer of this area and put up a huge wealth of routes and problems, and launched the Area 69 boulders this fall. So that is a series of boulder fields with over 50 newly established problems in a wide range of grades on varied terrain. So if anyone's been to the Sudbury area and climbed up Mackinac, the rock here is very different. It's something new. It's something a little bit unique for the area. So we're just happy to have this huge wealth of problems. So NOAA and friends have spent a lot of time there. We were able to get the whole area on the guide this autumn. So it's been a great development for Sudbury. We're happy that it's a crown land space, that we don't foresee any access issues occurring. We haven't had any issues with parking or access in that regard. So just shout out to everybody who was involved in that. I highly encourage you to take a look on the Climb Sudbury website under Area 69 boulders, because there were a lot of contributors to these over 50 problems that went up, and a lot of hard work that went into cleaning the boulders, documenting, recording all of this, and establishing those problems. So big shout out to everybody there. You can head to the next slide. Okay, so access updates. We are having some issues with Mill Lake. So Mill Lake is a pretty historic, popular ice climbing spot. We've confirmed property ownership, and it is private property, and the owners wish for no climbing to take place on that property. So we're kindly asking everybody to respect their wishes. Please do not climb at Mill Lake. Please do not cross anyone's property to go look at the Mill Lake ice. There's a number of property owners who've been very unhappy with climbers trespassing on their property to access the lake. There are many other access points on Mill Lake. It requires a little bit more snowshoeing or cross-country skiing or what have you. You can make it into a nice little adventure. You can go check out the ice beyond the lake, but please do not climb. It is on private property. The area remains on the site with a notice that it's closed to climbing. We just wanted to continue to show that this is now a historic climbing area. Climbing did exist there. You can see what all the routes were. You can see photos of people climbing on those routes, but we just want to make sure that nobody is climbing in that area. And then what else did I have? Oh, so other crags in the Sudbury area. We do have a lot that are on Crown land. There are some that are on private property. And a few of our popular spots, the access status is either unknown or tolerated. So we just ask everybody visiting the area to be on their best behavior. We have a very small climbing community here. Crags do not get overpopulated. There's rarely any crowds. I've been out at Crags on beautiful summer sunny days, and I'm the only one there, or there's just like a small single party of people. That's kind of what our vibe is up here. So if you're coming to visit, please just kind of respect leave no trace rules, stay on the trails, respect the land, and be a good steward to the area. We're very fortunate that we have a community that's so grounded in good mentorship of these ethics. So if you're coming to visit as well, please bring those ethics with you. We don't want to lose access to some of our areas that are a little more tenuous. But so far we haven't had any major issues, and we've appreciated everyone's support in visiting the area. That's been super, super nice to see. McCrae Lake has been added to the guide this year. So we now have some topos and route information for, obviously a very popular area. It's home to I would say pretty world-class 512. It's pretty iconic. If you haven't looked at the Seamstress, go check out photos of it. Try to get out there. It's a nice wilderness adventure experience. The trails are great. The camping is great. It's just a fantastic place to be. We've received a little bit of conflicting information about route names, first ascensionists, grades, things like that. So if you have any intel, if you're reviewing the site, if you're looking and something doesn't seem right, please just drop a message in the contact box. That goes straight to me. I can make fixes very quickly, and I would like to consolidate the most accurate information possible there. So if you have any further information that is not included on that area, we do want to make it as accurate as possible. So please let me know if anything has changed or should be changed from that site. And then community and events. So some of the things we have going on and had go on in 2025 and coming into 2026. So we were planning a bouldering season closer. It's kind of become an annual event. It's just a really cold day where we all go boulder somewhere. We are still going to host this hopefully on the November 15th, 16th weekend. So if you want to take a trip up, we're going to do the Area 69 boulders. So there's lots of boulders to go around. It's great. It'll be family friendly. Bring some hand warmers for your chalk bag. It'll be a great time. So if you'd like to meet the community, if you would like to try bouldering for the first time in a chill environment where there's lots of crash pads and lots of stoke, come on out for that. That will be a really fun time. We'll be posting more information on Climb Sudbury Instagram. That's our primary social media, or you can feel free to email me anytime. I'll drop the contact info shortly after this slide. Some of the other things I'd like to take on with the shift, the kind of restructure of Climb Sudbury. I have an intent to host another speaker night over the winter months. We had a really good success with the one we held a few years ago. We had 3 speakers on various aspects of climbing, route development, gym ownership, things like that. So I'd love to have a fundraising event where we can kind of get together as a community. And I plan that when, the seasons, maybe in the miserable season, kind of between rock and ice might be a good spot when we're all kind of doing nothing, just waiting to get ice axes ready. I would like to host through Climb Sudbury and through Echo Women's Climbing Festival more women's climbing events for 2026. So either informal crag days at Echo And I want 2026 to actually be the like flagship year of the climbing festival. I had built a lot of hype for it in 2020 and 2021. I ended up, short story, I ended up with long haul COVID, and it really compromised my health for the last 4 to 5 years. Finally on the up and up and feeling like a normal person and pretty high quality of life again. So this is the year. I really want it to happen in 2026. I want to be able to offer a space that the climbers locally can come, and then climbers visiting can come as well. And we'll have a nice like outdoor camping, wilderness climbing community experience for everybody. Some other projects I'd like to get going in spring of 2026. Echo has a boardwalk made of pallets. Those pallets wear down. I would really love some hands if you're local in providing pallets. We'll get out there together. We'll repair what's there. We'll replace some of the boardwalk. I think that would be a really great project for us in the spring. We'll have a logo design. I'm talking to an Indigenous local artist here. I actually want to get a logo design for Climb Sudbury done by her, and have a new t-shirt campaign, which it's a huge source of our fundraising. And it supports an Indigenous artist right here in town. So look for a t-shirt campaign coming soon with that. And then Climb Sudbury's fund for hardware, crag maintenance, and the online guide is fully funded through 2027. But basically this is like a donation-based like organization. So you can do that through the PayPal. Basically, the operations consist of like the online guidebook. So there's like web fees for the platform we're hosting, as well as for the web address. We're like Climb Sudbury is also involved in not just the online guidebook, but some like trail maintenance endeavors, projects, hardware maintenance, resource distribution, community building, and then fundraising for all of these things that we do and put together. I have a lot of friends involved who've been really great about helping carry the torch for Climb Sudbury and like heading us into a new direction in 2025 and 2026. So we'd really like to keep that strong. I have some ideas, I haven't mentioned them on here, about possibly having a sort of bolt funds type deal for the north. Things like that. So yeah, I guess I'll just keep it short and sweet. That is pretty much it. One of the things I did want to mention that's not on the slides is that between Sudbury and Thunder Bay, there's like quite a lot of climbing. Like I'm kind of reporting on just the Sudbury area, but the Nooks is pretty much a city unto itself now. And it really needs a shout out. I wish Brendan was here, like co-hosting this, like my little portion of panel, because the amount of work that he's done in the area is absolutely phenomenal. So he hosted a huge event called Nook End. It's an annual event, Labor Day weekend. Okay, hey Brendan, yeah, say hi to Brendan in the chat. Give him a big thank you, because the amount of work he's done is absolutely immense. So Nook End was a community bouldering event that saw climbers from all over the place come and celebrate bouldering in Northern Ontario. The community he's built around this crag has been absolutely amazing. And there's over 400 problems there now. So that is like 400 is astronomical. Use his guide to access the boulders in that area. So he keeps the information updated on the Kaya app. He also has a guidebook available for the Nooks. If you go to Climb Sudbury, we have a tiny, tiny little aspect of gold mine, which I think maybe has 50 problems. It was when the area was first developed. You need to go to Brendan's resources to get all of the info on those problems. So just wanted to shout that out and say thank you. Our American friend has been like the most wonderful steward of Northern Ontario climbing. So huge thanks there. I also wanted to give a quick shout out again on my Sudbury regional updates. Sault Ste. Marie has a lot going on in the climbing scene as well. I can't speak to exactly what's going on, but they do. Alpine Club of Canada now has a chapter in the Sault, which is so exciting. I've run into a few of those climbers at local Sudbury Crags. I think they're just a bunch of very lovely people. And of course, there are some veteran climbers and guides out in that area who are continuing to do the good work. So I just wanted to say a big shout out to Sault Ste. Marie as well. They have a lot going on. They have a really kind of good community initiative going on their social media. So do check them out as well. Yeah, I think they just have lots of good stuff happening. And like, we're so happy that all of this action is taking place in Northern Ontario. for Climb Sudbury specifically, we do try to get everything within like a 2-hour kind of radius of the town, but we'll throw on things that just kind of feel appropriate. Everything is pretty like diffuse, and in Northern Ontario, it's quite spread out. And I try to do the best I can as keeping you guys up to date on what's going on with developments and what's going on with new areas. So climbsudbury.com is the guide. It's the online guidebook for all of the route info and maps. Climb Sudbury on Instagram. You can get basically real-time information on new routes, new crags, access updates. The community events going on are posted pretty much only on the social media and posters at Art Climbing. And then climbing photos. If you have photos of yourselves visiting some of our northern crags, we love to share those. I love seeing the community come and visit and climb at our beautiful spaces. And then climb Sudbury at outlook.com or the contact box on the website. That will go directly to me. And if I can't answer your question, I will direct it to the most appropriate person who can. We all kind of work together collectively, and like Noah and David and a few other great friends have really helped me carry Climb Sudbury this year, and I'm so appreciative. And I just also want to say thank you. I've been speaking at the OAC AGM for a few years now, and when I go and look in the participant list, there are so many names that I see year after year after year. And like you guys, you're like lifers for climbing. You guys are absolutely the reason that the work I do has so much purpose. You're the reason that I want to provide the best guide possible and put out the most accurate information possible. You're the reason I want to continue to community build and have all these events and build stoke and just see people climbing out here. So to everybody who has just been a good steward for climbing, a good advocate for the sport, every time you go to the town with a crag and you support their local economy, every time you follow the rules and picking up trash and paying for your parking and accessing the crag the way that you should, you are helping all of us keep all of these areas open. And like for us in the north to have such a tiny area where so many of those areas are small, we can't deal with overpopulation. Like I'm like deeply, deeply grateful of everybody who's been just such a responsible, ethical climber. And for the people that I've seen here year over year, just contribute so much in the ways that they do as a climber, developer, volunteer, Ontario Alliance of Climbers, or you're just here to learn more. Like, thank you so, so much. I'm so appreciative to be a part of this.
Laura, that was fantastic. I feel like I had my closure spiel all set to go, and I feel like you said everything that I would have said. That was fantastic. You know, again, I totally agree. Again, Ontario is a big province, and of course, we're so happy to be able to highlight lots of great things happening. And of course, we know we're missing lots across the province as well. So again, thanks for dropping those names like Sean and Brendan, who do so much for Ontario climbing. So really appreciate that, and again, totally echo the sentiment around leave don't trace mentality, realizing that we climb in these really special places, and it's also up to us to steward those areas as well. So with that, I believe that is the end of our contents for this evening. So we've got a couple minutes left. I mean, I'm pretty impressed. We have literally 4 minutes left on our schedule here. But of course, myself and the board and our volunteers will be here for the next kind of 5 or 10 minutes to ask any last questions that you have. I think there was a number of questions that have been following along in the webinar chat, but feel free to drop any last questions in, and happy to sort of divide those up across the board to answer any questions you might have about climbing the province or the organization or where we're headed or financials, or we can even have Matt Gleeson share his graphs again. So let us know. So we'll be here a couple more minutes.
Just one last.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just one last request is if your annual membership has expired, please sign up again. And there is a survey on the last page, which you can also do.
Thank you, Pat. I knew I would forget something. I should have just gone through my slides. Look at that. Right there at the very bottom, there's a nice little survey that's just launched. Thanks, Jess, for throwing it in the chat as well.
Ryan asked a great question. Is there any concern with the province's proposed changes to conservation areas? Oh, it disappeared. That CH is at risk. Ryan, it's a great question. We just learned about this on, I believe, Thursday or Friday. when we found out. We're still learning about it, and we're going to continue to follow it. We're very aware of the situation. To answer your question, I don't think right now, based on the news articles that we've read, that there's any risk to our relationship. But we will be staying in touch with all of our land managers across different conservation areas, Halton, Grey Sauble, etc.
Any other questions?
Cedric asked, can you enable auto renew on our membership? Pat, maybe that's a you question.
Yeah.
Well, Pat says, I'll look into yours. It's an option in general.
Yeah, you can definitely set yours to auto renew. I'll look at Cedric's in particular and look at that. If you have an annual membership, it will auto renew if you check the button.
Yeah,
I think the button
if my memory serves me, when we set up the annual membership program, when you register, there's a button that you can choose whether you opt into an auto renew. If my memory serves me, we left off the check when people sign up, just to make sure that people are given the option to opt in. We don't want to assume people want the annual renewal, but of course, hopefully today you've seen some of the good use of funds, whether it's the porta potties or the Bolt Fund that go towards what those membership fees go towards. So again, our website has a great sort of page on annual memberships that give you lots of information if you're not currently a member.
Yeah, thank you, Cedric.
Thank you, Cedric. You are set to auto renew, and yours renews in January 2026. So thank you so much for your support.
Everyone will also get an email when their membership is either about to expire or when it's about to auto renew, just as a reminder.
Thanks, Derek. Jess, do you want to plug the calendar?
Yes, the calendar has not gone to printers yet, but it will be going soon. I was still just trying to get all the photos arranged properly and just got tied up with life tasks. But yes, the calendar will be available for sale in December. We have a lot of beautiful photos for you to look at. And yeah, I don't know for sure if we'll be in gyms again this year, but we'll definitely be doing it by mail, at least.
I wonder who this really strong looking ice climber is. I think they're on the call today. Any other last questions? Anonymous attendee, what is being done about the bolt vandalism and car flyers in DG? So I'm not sure if that got answered already.
I mean, as an organization, we can't and we don't want to police the actions of others. Our job here as volunteers representing this community is to work with the land managers and stakeholders involved to change policy towards the better to allow access for climbing. So that's what we're doing. We will continue to do that to the best of our abilities moving forward. And with, if that goes well, then we will leave the problems of other people to other people. Hopefully that helps answer that question.
Thanks, Dustin. Sean, noted. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Sean notes, if the OAC is interested, I can help out with the Sioux to Agawa representation. Appreciate that, Sean.
That'd be great. We could maybe get the Sioux involved next year, for sure, as one of the regional updates.
We'll leave it open for 2 more minutes. Any final questions? Don't be shy.
Thanks for the kind words, Brendan.
Thank you.
All right, all. Well, thank you so much for attending the 2025 AGM and Town Hall. Really appreciate your attendance. And again, thanks so much for all of our regional representatives as well for all the updates. And with that, yes, it's the fall season, very soon into the ice climbing season. Hope you all have a wonderful final fall season and get out there while you can still feel your fingertips on rock. So everybody have a great night.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.